All right, so today we are going way deep into Dan Millman's The Hidden School.
Okay.
This is the final book in his Peaceful Warrior saga.
Right.
And I know you're really into these kind of thought-provoking self-discovery stories.
Yeah.
So I think this one's going to hit home for you for sure.
Really looking forward to it.
And you've given me just a ton of material to work with here. So
Yeah.
it seems like you're ready to dive deep into this one.
I am fascinated by the way that Millman blends adventure with philosophical exploration.
Yeah.
You're going to be traveling with Dan through deserts and forests.
Right.
You're going to meet a blind desert sage,
Oh,
a kung fu-loving Tai Chi master.
okay.
There's even a pretty harrowing journey through a forest in Japan that's known as a suicide destination.
Oh, wow.
It's a real roller coaster ride.
Wow.
But at the heart of it all are these really profound questions about life and death.
Yeah, this is not just some light beach read.
No, it's not.
We're talking about paradoxes that have puzzled philosophers for centuries.
Right.
We've got time versus the eternal present.
Yeah.
Free will versus predetermination.
Mm-hmm.
Even the idea of a separate self versus universal consciousness.
Big questions.
Heavy stuff.
But Millman doesn't just throw these ideas out there and leave you hanging.
Right.
He takes you on this journey alongside Dan, who is on a quest to find this hidden journal that his mentor Socrates entrusted to him.
Okay.
And this journal supposedly holds the secrets to eternal life.
Okay.
But what Dan finds along the way is way more profound than just living forever.
So let's start at the very beginning.
Okay.
We have Dan, this seeker, who's already been on quite the journey in the previous books.
Yeah.
And he's given this cryptic mission by Socrates.
Right.
And there's this sense of mystery right from the start.
Absolutely.
He's told to go east to Japan, but then he finds a letter that sends him west to the deserts of New Mexico.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
It's like Millman is deliberately trying to disorient you a little bit.
Okay.
Think about it. How often in our own lives do we think we know where we're going?
Only to get redirected by some random event or something we discover along the way.
Right, right.
Millman is setting the stage for a journey that's not so much about the physical destination,
Right.
but more about the internal transformation.
Well, I'm starting to get a sense of where this is headed.
Okay.
So Dan ends up in New Mexico,
He does.
and that's where he meets Papa Joe,
Papa Joe, that's right.
this blind desert sage who loves to throw riddles at him.
Exactly. And Papa Joe's blindness there is symbolic, isn't it?
Oh, interesting.
I mean, he can't see with his physical eyes, but
Yeah.
he sees a lot more than most people.
Yeah.
He challenges Dan right off the bat,
Okay.
asks him, what is greater than God and worse than the devil? The rich want it, the poor have it, and if you eat it, you'll die.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm stumped.
It is a classic riddle.
Yeah.
The answer is nothing.
Oh, wow.
And it points to this profound truth that our attachments to things, to concepts, can lead to suffering.
Oh.
Papa Joe is kind of nudging Dan and really all of us to
Right.
consider what truly matters in life.
Right. It's like he's saying, don't get so caught up in all the illusions.
Exactly.
Look beyond all the superficial stuff.
That's it.
And isn't that what this whole quest for eternal life is about?
Yeah.
Like trying to hold on to something to avoid what we all know is going to happen? You got it. You're picking up what I'm putting down?
And Papa Joe, he also introduces this element of danger.
Oh. Okay.
He warns Dan about this other person that's looking for the journal.
Uh-oh.
So now things are getting a little more serious.
Yeah.
And the stakes are a lot higher.
Okay, so we have mystery.
Yes.
We got philosophical riddles.
Right?
And now we've got a little bit of danger.
A little bit, yeah.
Where does Dan go from there?
So Dan follows these clues.
Okay.
And he ends up at this school,
Okay.
this secluded school in the Taishan forest in China.
Hmm.
So try to picture this serene setting surrounded by these giant trees.
Okay.
It's a place where rigorous training is balanced by this profound sense of peace. It's like the opposite of the harsh desert landscape in New Mexico.
Right.
Both of these places, they kind of serve as these crucibles for Dan's transformation.
I see.
I see.
And I guess this is where he starts to really wrestle with those paradoxes we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
He finally has the journal,
he does.
and he's trying to decipher these cryptic notes from Socrates.
He's not alone, though.
Oh, okay.
He's got Mei Bao, his translator and fellow student,
Okay.
and Master Chan, this enigmatic leader of the school.
Oh,
They're all helping to guide him along the way.
God.
But the real work is happening inside Dan as he starts to question everything he thought he knew about life, about time, and about his own identity.
Wow.
Yeah. So welcome back to our deep dive into the hidden school.
Yeah, last time we left Dan at this secluded school in China's Taishan forest,
Yeah.
and about to really come face to face with some pretty intense philosophical challenges.
Exactly.
So he's in this like really peaceful environment.
Yeah.
But he's wrestling with some of life's biggest questions.
Right.
Like, what is time really? Is it just this linear thing that we experience day to day, or is there something more to it?
And that's where this concept of the eternal present comes in.
Okay.
Think about it. We can remember the past.
Yeah.
We can imagine the future.
Right.
But the only true reality is this moment right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a river.
Okay.
It's always flowing. It's always changing.
Right.
We tend to get fixated on these like individual drops of water.
Okay.
Like specific events. But the river itself is this constant thing.
I see.
This ever-present thing.
So instead of getting caught up in the current of, past regrets or anxieties about the future,
Exactly.
we should be more focused on being present in each moment.
That's it.
Okay, that's starting to make sense to me. But what about free will?
Okay.
Doesn't the idea of this like eternal present suggest that everything is already determined?
That's another paradox that Millman tackles head-on in the book.
Okay.
He recognizes that there are a ton of different factors that shape our choices,
Okay.
like our genetics, our upbringing, how we were raised, societal influences, all these things.
Right.
But even with all of those constraints,
Yeah.
we still have the power to make a choice.
Okay, so it's not one or the other.
Right.
It's like this interplay between the two.
It's a dance.
We're influenced by all these forces beyond our control, but we can still respond in different ways.
Yes.
We can still make decisions.
And that's where personal responsibility comes into the picture.
Okay.
Even though we're influenced by all these different factors,
Yeah.
we still have to own our choices.
Right.
We have to own the actions that come from those choices.
Okay. And then there's that other really mind-bending idea of this separate self versus universal consciousness.
Right.
This one always gets me thinking.
Yeah.
Like, am I really just this, like, individual person?
Yeah.
Or am I part of something much bigger?
That is the question.
Like, what's going on here?
Millman uses a beautiful analogy to try to get this point across.
Okay, let's hear it.
He compares us to waves in the ocean. Each wave seems like it's this separate thing, unique, but ultimately it's just a part of this vast ocean.
So we experience the world as these individuals,
Yeah.
but in reality, we're all interconnected.
Exactly.
Like all these waves rising and falling from the same source.
That's it.
That's pretty wild.
It is.
And then that leads us to the last paradox.
Yeah.
Death versus eternal life.
Right.
I mean, from our typical perspective,
Yeah.
death is the end of the line.
It is the end.
But Millman is suggesting that from this like bigger picture view,
Yes.
death doesn't actually exist.
Right.
Because consciousness was never really born and can never really die.
It's about recognizing that there's something more.
Whoa.
Ah,
Okay, so it's not about denying the physical reality of death,
exactly.
but realizing that there's something that goes beyond our physical form.
That transcends it.
He talks about the death of the ego,
Yes.
the death of that limited sense of self
The small self.
being an illusion,
An illusion. Yeah.
and that true life is actually eternal,
Right.
and that it comes from recognizing our connection to everything else.
Exactly.
So all these paradoxes, they're not just mental exercises.
No, they're not.
They're pointing toward a completely different way of experiencing life,
That's right.
a way of understanding our place in the grand scheme of things.
And that understanding, that shift in perspective is what Dan starts to feel at the school.
Okay.
He's not just reading about these concepts in the journal.
Yeah.
He's actually living them.
Okay.
He's wrestling with them in a really deep way.
And I'm guessing just when he starts to find some clarity,
Yeah.
some peace,
Hmm.
things take a pretty dramatic turn.
Yeah. Life has a way of doing that, doesn't it?
Always.
Throws you a curveball just when you think you've got it all figured out.
So what happens next?
What happens next?
What shakes up Dan's world this time? Yeah, so last time we left Dan, things were getting really intense for him at the hidden school.
Right.
It sounded like he was finally starting to find some peace.
Yeah.
Some understanding of these concepts.
Mhm.
And then life just throws him another curveball.
Well, it's almost like the universe is testing him.
Okay.
Pushing him to see if he's really learned these lessons about impermanence and
right.
letting go.
Right.
Because the peaceful sanctuary of that school
Yeah.
gets totally disrupted
Okay.
when the authorities raid it
I'll get
and
that.
basically turn it into a re-education camp.
Oh, wow.
So all these political tensions that have been simmering in the background,
right.
they come to a head and Dan's whole world is flipped upside down.
It's like a harsh reminder
Yeah.
that even in these like really remote and tranquil places,
Right.
outside forces can come in and mess everything up.
Exactly.
And to make matters even worse,
Yeah.
Dan's friend and fellow student Chun Han,
Right.
He dies during the raid.
Yeah, it's a really sad moment in the book.
Yeah, that must have been devastating for Dan.
It's a heartbreaking loss,
Yeah.
and it really emphasizes the fragility of life, which is a theme that keeps popping up.
Okay.
But even in the middle of all this chaos and grief,
Yeah.
there are moments of hope
Okay.
and some pretty unexpected reunions.
Really? Like who?
Remember Hua Chi,
Oh, yeah.
the kung fu-loving Tai Chi master from Hong Kong?
I remember her. Yeah, what about her?
She reappears
No way.
and helps Dan navigate this whole crazy situation.
Oh, Hua Chi.
Yeah,
She always seems to show up at just the right time
right.
with her own unique brand of wisdom
Exactly.
and her kind of unconventional methods.
Mm.
It's like she represents that balance of warrior spirit
Yeah.
and peaceful heart that Socrates was always talking about.
Exactly. She embodies that perfectly.
And I bet she brings an interesting twist to the story.
She does, actually.
Okay, what is it?
Remember that mysterious figure,
Oh, who are we talking about?
Pasharo,
Okay, yeah.
who stole Dan's journal way back at the beginning of the book?
Oh, yeah, right. Pajaro, the one who was so obsessed with finding the secret to eternal life.
Yeah, to save his dying father.
Right, right.
Well, it turns out he's been following Dan all along.
Wait, seriously? That gardener's son from New Mexico?
The one and only.
What has he been up to all this time?
He's all grown up now.
Okay.
Calls himself Joe Stalking Wolf.
Well,
And he gives the journals back to Dan.
really, what made him do that?
He actually read them, took in all the wisdom,
Wow.
and seems to have come to terms with his father's death
Okay.
and his own crazy pursuit of physical immortality.
That's a pretty amazing transformation.
It is.
So instead of some dramatic showdown,
Right.
we have this unexpected moment of reconciliation and understanding.
And it really shows how powerful these ideas are
Yeah.
to change people's hearts and minds.
Right.
Joe Stalking Wolf realizes that the real secret to eternal life
Okay.
isn't about living longer in the physical sense,
Yeah.
but about recognizing that consciousness is eternal.
Wow. It's like that reminder that sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go of all of our attachments. Mm-hmm.
all of our preconceived ideas,
Sure.
our fears.
That's it.
And for Dan, it seems like this is a real turning point for him.
It is a turning point for sure.
So what does he do?
Well, with the school in ruins
Right.
and feeling like his time there is over,
Yeah.
Dan decides to move on.
Okay.
He says goodbye to his friends
So,
and embraces the uncertainty of the future. But he's taking all the wisdom he's gained with him.
it's like a fitting ending to his journey.
Yeah.
You know, letting go of everything familiar
Yeah.
and stepping into the unknown,
Right.
but with this like peaceful heart
Yeah.
and a warrior spirit.
That's it.
He's learned that true freedom comes from accepting that life is always changing
Yeah.
and really being present in each moment.
That's the core message of the Hidden School.
Yep.
The path to wisdom is this ongoing journey of self-discovery.
Right.
And true fulfillment doesn't come from clinging to fixed ideas or
Yeah.
outcomes,
Okay.
but from embracing the fact that everything is always changing.
That's deep.
Yeah.
And doing that with an open mind and heart.
An open heart and a curious mind.
It reminds us that we're all on this journey
We are.
and that the destination isn't as important
Right.
as what we learn
Exactly.
and how we grow along the way.
And sometimes the most profound lessons
Yeah.
come from those unexpected encounters,
Mhm.
unforeseen challenges,
Right.
and that wisdom that's hidden in plain sight
Right.
if we just open our eyes and pay attention.
I love that the Hidden School, it's such a powerful way to end Dan Millman's peaceful warrior saga.
It is.
It's a story that speaks to people of all ages
Yeah.
and really inspires us to embrace the paradox of life
The paradox of it all.
and to seek out that hidden wisdom that's
Mhm.
inside each of us.
That's the journey.
Well, it's a book that definitely stays with you
Yeah,
long after you finish reading it.
it does.
It makes you think,
Absolutely.
and it encourages you to go on your own journey of self-discovery.
That's what it's all about.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the Hidden School.
It does.
I hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
I think so.
May you all find your own path to wisdom
Yes.
and live each day with a peaceful heart
A peaceful heart.
and a warrior's spirit.
Until next time,
Keep seeking
keep learning.
and keep diving deep.